Okay guys, so we're looking at Chapter 8, and we're going to be reviewing Lessons 5 and 6, Inequalities and Writing Graph Inequalities. Writing and Graphing Inequalities. I'd like for you to get a piece of paper out now and title your page, 8.5 through 8.6 Review. You can write inequalities, write and graph inequalities, whatever you want to write on there, but I need you to title your page, Chapter 8, 8.5 through 8.6 Review. And then as I show you things, I want you to write them down. They are in your book pages, but these are going to be extra notes that you may be able to use on your quiz coming up. Alright, so Lesson 5 we talked about symbols, and we had the less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. And it gives us some other key words here and examples. Less than, if it says words like is less than or is fewer than, that's going to be the less than sign. The greater than sign is if it says something like obviously is greater than or is more than. And then less than or equal to or is at most, which this is a good one because this is like that trick where you think most means more, but it doesn't. It means at most, which is a different thing altogether. And so if I'm saying at most I'm giving you $10 to rake my yard, then if you rake my yard, you know you're not getting more than $10. I could give you exactly $10, but I could also give you $1, okay? Whereas when we have greater than or equal to, we have at least, which again is the flip-flopper here, because you normally think least is less, but it's not the same. At least is I'm saying, okay, you need to be at least 15 years old to play this video game. Well, you can be 15, but can you be 10? No, you need to be at least 15 years old to play this game. At least means greater than or equal to. Inequalities can be solved by finding values of the variable that make the inequality true. So some of the practice problems that we had for classwork back in the day are some of these problems where it's like 1 plus f is less than 7, and they say, okay, determine which number is a solution of the inequality. And they give me 5 numbers. And what I said to do was go ahead and, well, that didn't work out. Let's go ahead and divide the two up so that you're looking at the inequality and you're looking at the options for filling in the inequality. And so I'm going to leave my line there. So when I'm figuring this out, I'm going to say, okay, how about 5? Well, 1 plus 5, is that going to be less than 7? Well, 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 is less than 7, yes. So I'm going to say, okay, 5 works. Now I'm not going to stop there. I'm also going to try my other ones. Let's say 1 plus 6 is less than 7. Well, 1 plus 6 is 7. Is 7 less than 7? No. And so that's not going to work. And then I'm trying my 1 plus 7, because that's my next one. 1 plus 7 is 8. Is 8 less than 7? No. And so the only answer is 5. And that's how we went about using those. We literally just plugged in the numbers they gave us, and we said which ones work. And they're telling us which number, which implies to me that only one of these numbers will work. Is the given value a solution of the inequality? So this time, they're not giving us options. They're giving us just one, and they're saying, does that number work? So we're just substituting. We're going to put in q equals 20. So we're going to say q minus 2 is going to be 20 minus 2, and they're saying that's greater than 16. Well, 20 minus 2 is 18. Is 18 greater than 16? Yes. So the answer is yes. That 20 is a solution in that inequality. And same with this other one. This one we're saying that t is equal to 28. So t minus 7 is 28 minus 7. 28 minus 7 is 21. Is 21 less than 10? And the answer is no. That wouldn't work. So this one says that the table shows a number of different types of movies in LeVar's collection. He wants to buy a new movie to add to his collection. He only wants to buy a movie if he already has more than 15 movies of that type. So use the inequality m is greater than 15, where m is the number of type of movie, determine which types he can buy. So he says that he wants to buy, again, he only wants to buy a movie if he already has more than 15 movies of that type. So which ones does he already have more than 15? So m is greater than 15. Well, what numbers are greater than 15? We've got action, which has 18, that's bigger than 15. Comedy, which is 24, is bigger than 15. 12 is not bigger than 15, and 15 is not bigger than 15. And so our answers here are action and comedy. Those are the two that he can decide which one he wants to buy from. Those are the two genres, obviously, that he likes the best, because he buys most of his movies in those genres. All right, number 13 says, analyze the relationship between the inequalities in each pair of inequalities below. Then write the integers that are solutions to each pair of inequalities. Once you get the hang of understanding these what these symbols mean, because a lot of times you guys don't understand. If I showed you this symbol and I asked you what the words were, a lot of you wouldn't remember that it's greater than. And that's going to be something that's really important that you remember. It's greater than. So greater than, we're going to remember, and less than we're going to remember, and then it's just a matter of adding the equal to underneath. So if I said that y is greater than 4, it doesn't include 4 because it's not equal to, but it could include 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe I'll just start coming up with numbers, right? But it also is going to be less than or equal to 6. So which of these numbers that I already started writing, because it can go on and on and on forever and ever and ever, which one of these numbers are less than or equal to 6? These are the only two numbers there that are less than or equal to 6. So I'm going to put that these are my solutions. Now you guys didn't do an example like this in class, so I really like that we're going over this. Let's do B together, and then I'm going to have you do C on your own, pausing the video. I know I'm moving a little fast, and if you didn't get the other examples, maybe it would be a good idea to go back and write some notes on them. But there's some important things like understanding greater than, less than, that you need to be writing notes on right here. All right, so for the next one, I'll use a different color, switch it up a little bit. It says x is greater than or equal to -3. So if I'm thinking of numbers that are greater than -3 or equal to, I'm going to include -3, and then I'm going to go ahead and keep writing, you know, up until I get into positives, okay? Not that I'm going to keep using these, and I'm going to put my little dots to say that I'm going to keep going and going and going and going, because all these numbers are greater than -3 or equal to. But the next part says that it's going to be less than 0, not equal to 0. So I'm going to right now say 0 is not included, but it's got to be less than. So these are the numbers in my number set that I already started writing that are less than 0, not equal to. So my numbers are going to be -3, -2, and -1. I'd like for you to do C and D on your own, and when you come back, we'll go over those answers. So pause the video now. All right, so for C, it says M is less than 5. Not equal to 5, less than 5. So I'm already thinking 4, 3, 2, 1. Oops, I apparently missed my 2. And then it's telling me that M is greater than 3. So within the same set of numbers that we're going to go on forever and ever because they're all less than, I'm just looking for the ones that are greater than 3. Well, that doesn't include 3. 3 is not included here. So the only number in my data set here that's greater than 3 and less than 5 is the number 4. It's only one number for that one. And then for our last example here, R is less than -1, okay? Less than -1. So -2 is less than -1, -3 is less than -1, but -1 itself is not equal in there. And I could keep going, but I'm going to stop there because I noticed that it says R is greater than 0. Are any numbers here going to be greater than 0? No, they're all going to be negatives. None of them are going to be greater than 0. So the answer here is actually none. The answer will be actually none. So that was a tricky one because it made it seem like you would find them, and no, sure it is not. They don't have anything in common. So when you're finding the relationship, it's what do they have in common? What do they overlap on in their number lines? All right, so speaking of number lines, here's 8.6, writing and graphing inequalities. It says that you can write an inequality to represent a situation. So here for our writing inequalities, we're going to look at some key words. Here it says must be over, okay? Over 12 years old to ride the go-karts. So if you need to be over, what kind of symbol is that going to be? First of all, we need to use a variable. So let's say A for age. You could use any variable, it doesn't matter. And if it's going to be over 12 years old, my number over here is going to be 12. Over, so think about that. If you need to be over 12 years old to ride the go-kart, how old do you need to be? Can you be 12? You have to be over 12 years old. Can you be 13? 14? 15? Can you be 5? You know, you have to think about these things. Make it make sense. Just make it make sense. Because you're not going to be able to memorize all the different words and the way to work it out. But if you make it make sense to the real world, think about it. You must be over 12 years old to ride the go-karts. You need to be greater than 12. You need to be 13. Maybe you can be 12 and a half, but that's not 12. Okay? For number 2, it says a pony is less than 14.2 hands tall. So I'm going to use P for my variable, 14.2. Now, if I'm talking about a pony being less than 14.2, then kind of obviously it's the less than sign. Okay? It's not equal to 14.2, it's less than that. It can be 14.1, it can be 14.199999, but it's not 14.2. All right, then the number 3 here says that you must be at least 16-year-olds to have a driver's license. I mean, common sense, guys. So again, this is my age, and 16 is what we're using here, which is my age. And it says that you must be at least 16-year-old to have a driver's license. Can you be 15? Can you be, I mean, are you talking about a bigger number or a smaller number? If it's at least, it's going to be greater than or equal to. Can I be exactly 16-year-old? Yeah, you can be at least 16, the very least. Like that's the lowest. You can be 16 and have a driver's license. Okay, so greater than or equal to. Now this one over here, I just wanted to point out the words at most. At most is referring to, let's say, at most, to be able to ride this ride, you can be at most 42 inches tall. Okay? At most 42 inches tall. So we'll say R for ride and 42 inches. If I'm telling you can be at most 42 inches ride, are we talking about a big roller coaster or are we talking about a kiddie ride? If at the very most you can be 42 inches. We're talking about a mini baby ride. You can be at most 42 inches. You can be exactly 42 inches, but you have to be smaller than that too, okay, to go on that ride. So it's a kiddie ride. All right, for inequalities, for graphing them, the big thing here, and if you haven't written this down somewhere, which I know that you did because I made you, we're going to talk about the open and closed dots because really that's part of what we need to remember. An open dot means less than or greater than, but not equal to. Because if it's an open dot, it doesn't include that number. But if it is a closed dot, okay, that's for if not included, but if it's a closed dot, it means that it is included. So if I've got my dot and it's solid here, and I'm talking about it being greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, we're looking at a closed dot because it is included. It is going to be included. All right, so for these examples here, it says n is greater than 9, and so I'm going to number my number line. I'll make 9 my middle number, and then I just need a number less than and greater than, okay? And for greater than 9, I'm not going to include my 9. And remember that I want you to put the circle above the line so I don't get confused as to which way you're going. And greater than are the numbers that are bigger than 9. So n is any number that's greater than 9. So let's say over here, 22. 22 is greater than 9, check. Okay? That n is what you're substituting with these numbers on the number line, any number that's greater than 9. So your arrow's to the right. Now you might notice that the alligator is pointing which way to go. Okay, he's saying which way to go. If the variable is on the left-hand side, then the gator is telling you which way to go. All right, the next one is n is less than or equal to 10. So my middle number is going to be 10. And again, I'm just going to make, one up, one down to make an easy number line. I don't need anything crazy. Even if they give you a ton of lines, unless you have to skip count for something, this is going to be fine. The equal to tells me that it's a closed circle, because if I said that you have to be at least 10 years old to play this game, then you can be 10 years old exactly. But if you have to be less than, if you need to be less than 12 years old, or 10 years old, let me say that again. You have to be at most 10 years old to play this game. That means that you're going to play games if you're 8, but if you're 11, they're not going to let you go. Okay, maybe it's like an Easter egg hunt with your family, and they say, okay, if you're 10 years or under, then you can play the egg hunt. Then if you're 10, you can play the egg hunt, but if you're 11, they're going to say no. Okay? Now, again, the gator is telling you, pointing to you which way to go. So just keep that in mind. If the variable is on the left-hand side, which is usually how we like to keep it, then it will tell you which way to go. But just test it out. Make sure it works. Is 9 less than or equal to 10? Yeah. That's how you just check it. Just grab a number from this number line area that you shaded in and pick which one that works. And if it's 11 that works, then you went the wrong way. You can move your arrow. In that case, it's not going to. So independent practice, write an inequality for each sentence. This again is something that we did in class or as homework. Swim practice will be no more than 35 laps. So what I like to do is think about it. If it can be no more than 35 laps, can it be exactly 35 laps? No more than 35. Then yeah, it can be 35. So I'm going to put my equal to here. And then I'll use S as my variable. Now, or maybe L. Let's use L. No, that doesn't look like. We'll use capital L. Okay, anyway, I hope it doesn't look like in less than sign. All right, so it says it'll be no more than 35 laps. So if your coach says you're going to do no more than 35 laps today, are you going to do more than that or no more than that, which means less than or equal to? It's less than or equal to 35. You might do exactly 35, but maybe they're only going to make you only make you do 10 laps. Kevin ran for less than 5 miles. Less than 5 miles. So Kevin, 5 miles. I've got my variable and I've got my number. Now I just need to figure out what the inequality is going to be on the inside. Less than. That's kind of self-explanatory. If he ran for less than 5 miles, did he run for 3 miles? Sure. Maybe he ran for 0 miles. Did he run 10 miles? No. So this makes sense. Less than. And then the very last one here, the occupancy of a room must be less than 437 people. Less than 437 people. So we're going to say P for people and 437. And then if it must be less than, is it going to include? Like, can you have exactly 437 people? No, they want you to have less than that many. So it's going to be less than, not equal to, because they want less than. I mean, why don't they just say 436 and less? I don't know. All right. For this one, we're going to graph the inequality on the number line. So if it says F is greater than 1, again, you make your number line, use that number they give you as the center number, and just pick numbers that are lower and higher. And so for this number line, I'm going to have an open circle because it's not equal to, and my arrow is going to the right. If I pick out a number from my number line, my 2, is 2 greater than 1? Yes, it is. For number 5 here, X is less than or equal to 5. So I'm going to put my 5 as my middle, 4 and 6 on each side. It is a closed circle because it's equal to. Can X be 5? Yes, it can be exactly 5. But it also can be less than. So can it be 4? 4 less than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. All right, and our last one on these. Y is greater than or equal to 4. Go ahead and pause the video and do this one on your own. When you get back, we'll go over the answer. So I've labeled my number line with 4 in the center, and then my 3 and my 5. I'm going to do a solid circle above the 4 because I have equal to, which means I'm including 4. And then it says that the numbers are greater than or equal to 4, which again, if you understand what these symbols mean in words, it makes it so much easier. Greater than or equal to, then I know I'm going to the right. If I grab one of my numbers on my number line and try it out, in my shaded area, it better work. 5 is greater than or equal to 4, yes. Number 7 is a rewritable compact disc must have less than 20 songs on it. Write and graph an inequality to describe how many songs can be on the disc. So it says it must have less than 20 songs on it. So a CD, which I'm only going to be able to use one variable, so only C, don't put CD. C is going to be less than 20 songs on it. So unfortunately I can't have 20 exactly. I have to have less than 20 songs. So 20 is my middle number, and so I can do 19, and 21 is my other two. It's going to be an open circle because I cannot include my 20. I can't have 20 songs, but I can have less than 20 songs. So can I have 19 songs? Sure. 19 is less than 20. That would work. So the two answers here are going to be, actually let me use a different color, are going to be C is less than 20, and then my open circle and arrow to the left above my 20. Listen guys, if you don't put the right numbers in the number line, you're not going to get the answer correct. So I need you to have the right numbers on the number line as well as making the circle correct and the arrow go the right way. Oh, I love this one. You guys did this already. It says fill in the information in the table. The first one is done for you. The greater than symbol in words is greater than, and it has an open dot. This one says greater than or equal to. I don't know why that's missing. There we go. Greater than or equal to. So I'm going to do greater than or equal to. And then that's going to be a closed dot. And then for less than, I'd have it like this, less than. And that's going to be an open dot. And the next one is less than or equal to, because it could also end up being equal to, and that's going to be a closed dot because we're including whatever that number is. So greater than is open dot, greater than or equal to is closed dot. Less than is open dot, less than or equal to is closed dot. So this one wants us to graph the solution set for the inequalities on the number line, and I like this example a lot. I don't think that we did it in our examples that we did, but I'd like to go over it. So for this one, unfortunately, I do have to skip count. I just can't put two numbers on this. I have to skip count some. So let's say that this is my 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 9, 10, 11. All right, so above my 5, I've got an open circle, and above my 8, I have an open circle. My arrow for x is greater than 5 is going to the right, and my arrow for x is less than 8 is going to the left. And so you notice that we can't include the 5 and we can't include the 8, but we can include all the numbers between the two. So that's how it would look. Open circle and then connect the two. Both of them are open. For B though, it's going to be a little different. So go ahead and do B, C, and D on your own, and I'll show the answers in just a moment. Pause the video now. This is the last thing I promise, so pause the video and do it. Alright, and here are the answers. For B, you'll notice that there's a closed circle above the -2, and then an open circle above the 7, and then there's a line connecting the two because it's greater than -2 but less than 7. For C, it's an open circle above the 3 and an arrow to the left because we're talking less than. And then there's a closed circle above the 6 and an arrow going to the right because we're talking about the numbers that are greater than. Notice that they don't have anything in common because they don't connect. And the same with D. We have a closed circle above both the -5 and the 0, and their arrows are going opposite directions as well. This is the last slide we have for our review, so we'll see you in school. Shout outs. Those are literally people shouting out. 4th period. We're out.